Leadership Story Talks, where we discuss the practices that engage, motivate, develop, retain, and attract people to businesses. We'll give you principles and tools based on real-world stories to leverage listening and storytelling to become a better leader and management professional. Leadership Story Talks is produced by Narrative, a company that focuses on personal storytelling for business.
Welcome to Leadership Story Talks. In this podcast, Julienne, Ryan, and I, Jerome DeRoy, discuss all the ways in which we can engage people, especially at work. There are more people today that say they feel disengaged at work than people who say they feel engaged. We're from Narrative, which is a company that specializes in listening and storytelling, and we specialize in helping people engage others, all their stakeholders, through a 7-step methodology that can be applied directly into your workplace. And on this podcast, we often have lots of different guests, and sometimes Julienne and I come together to discuss a particular topic. And we have one of those today because we
do.
That's right. And we're very excited, right, Julienne?
Yes. I wore the team colors today too. I hope you noticed it.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're red and white for you guys, but blended.
Yeah, so my background is now coordinated with your clothes.
Yes.
And I'll jump right into why we're excited. We're excited because we're launching a 3-part online workshop series. It's only 1 hour per session over a period of 3 weeks. And it's live. So people will actually get to know each other a little bit through storytelling. But the crux of this workshop is that you will get to learn and uncover what your values are. And even if you know already what your values are, where it's going to get really practical and strategic is that you're going to learn how to tell a story that brings those values to life. So you'll come out of this workshop with what we call a leadership story. And so throughout the workshop, you'll get to meet all these other people and also, find the story, craft the story, and learn how to present it.
Yes. And it's such an incredible experience to be part of it as a facilitator and to watch what comes together. As one client recently said, it's not magic, but it can be magical about the energy that gets shared together and in seeing our story come to life in different ways, because it's the listener, as you know, when they're reflecting back to us, what they heard in this story shows us things in a fresh perspective. And it's just such a great discovery. So yeah, I'm so excited. I'm like swaying back and forth here in my chair, like waiting for the event to happen. So all good.
Yeah. And it's exciting. I was talking yesterday to a couple of people, and one of them was a global head of learning and development in a fairly large company. And he was saying, that what really speaks to him in terms of what leaders need right now is that they need to have not just an understanding of their core values, but they actually need to live those core values, because when they're challenged or when they're manifested, whether it's positive or negative, they're able to go back to those values and they're able to fall back on those and understand where they need to go next. And I think in this world, we've talked about this on the workshop, on the podcast a lot, this VUCA world, right? Volatile, uncertain, et cetera. And, that is a world in which we live in right now. And it's almost like every day there's something that creates uncertainty. And so how do you as a leader navigate that? And so the ability to go back to those core values and tell stories that reflect those values so that others can understand them and others can understand how they might be able to act in the face of all that uncertainty. I think this is something that's really, really needed. And I'm hearing this from so many different kinds of stakeholder in the corporate world at the moment.
So what comes to mind when you're saying this is thinking about all the people out there who excel in their work. You look at star athletes. They go back to their practice and training, no matter how good they are. There's a whole regimen that they do every day, whether they're performing or competing that day, or it's just a practice day. Same thing with dancers, same thing with musicians. It's doing their scales, it's doing their vocal exercise. I think for leaders, this is a gift they're giving to themselves because they get to revisit and strengthen that core. to be able to support them through some challenges. And
Mm.
also have the peer support too that they're going to experience in the group as well, to hear what other people are encountering and anticipating.
Yeah, yeah. I remember one of our guests on this podcast, actually the Anna Vafiadou, who was from Greece and
Oh,
worked at the
yes.
World Wildlife Federation, World Wildlife Fund. Sorry, um, you know, she had this amazing kind of personal story that she came up with about being inspired by one of her teachers and this poem that he gave her when she was 12 years old, and how that poem followed her throughout her career and gave her a sense of direction. But as she was, preparing to tell that story, and we were crafting it together, what was really helpful to her was to go back to her own individual values and see a time in her life when that got manifested. When was
Mm,
there proof that this value was really something that guided her? And once she told that story, and once she found the story and then crafted it and told it, everyone that listened to that story in the group that she was telling it to, they really wanted to know more about her and what they could do to help the fund. So it created this kind of call to action that was very natural and didn't feel like a pitch at all. And
oh,
I think,
yes. Mhm.
that's really what we're offering in this workshop, is that, I often hear people that are saying, well, am I going to sound too salesy? I don't want to sound too braggadocious and all of that.
Exactly.
And, self-promoting, and it doesn't feel good. That's the beauty of this, is that when you tell a personal story that comes from a genuine value that drives you, then it's going to come across as very authentic, and people aren't even going to think about
Mhm.
whatever you're trying to sell to them or convince them about, because it doesn't come across that way.
Correct. It's your
Yeah,
anchor. Yeah. So that's
yeah.
well put. That's well put. And we've heard that time and time again through our podcast series, of these phenomenal stories or moments
Mm,
from Neil Dunn to Zev Shalev, so the list goes on and on, but it's just amazing at what's been their anchor and their driving force, and what
mm,
established their truth, and how they were able to present in a very powerful way to
yeah.
not their audiences, to the customers, to the listening, no matter who they needed to work with. That became their calling card for them.
Yeah. Well, so should we give a few more details, on practical details about what people can
Absolutely,
do
absolutely.
to
Where do you
sign
have
up?
to
Well,
go? And what do you
yeah.
have to do?
Well, the first thing to know are the dates. So it's going to happen April 27th, May 4th, and May 11th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. Every session is going to be recorded and sent back to participants with a transcript. So you'll be able to go back to what you said, your stories, the coaching you were given, the assignments. You'll get assignments from one week to the next. But really, all you need to set aside is that 1 hour per week starting on April 27. If you're in Europe, it's actually a pretty good time too, because it'll be 6 p.m. at night. If you're on the Pacific coast, it's at 9 a.m. in the morning. So we've really tried to cater to all different kinds of time zones. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is that there's an early bird registration period,
Mm,
which is happening right now. And that's until April 12. So we really encourage you to sign up early. And as you sign up early, you'll also get some prep work. So the earlier you sign up, the more you can prepare yourself for this workshop, and really make the most of it. So those are the details. We have a website, a landing page for this, for you to register. So we'll put that in the show notes. But if you want to learn more about any of this, our podcasts, our blog posts, all of the different kinds of people that we talked about who've been really models of storytelling, a great place to go back to is our website, narrative.com,
absolutely. Mhm.
NARATIV.com, where you can learn more about me, you can learn more about Julienne, and of course, you'll find the landing page to the workshop there as well. But we'll put that direct landing page into the episode notes, so that it's super, super easy for you to be able to learn more and register. Last thing I'll say is that you should feel free. On our website, there is a little button almost on every page where you can set up an appointment with me for 15 minutes. And I would be absolutely happy to answer any questions you have about this at any moment. It'll take you right to my calendar, and you can just pick the most convenient slot for you. No strings attached. I will not pressure you into anything at all. I'll just be there to listen and to respond to your questions.
As someone who did that a couple of years ago, who heard about the organization and reached out and said, hi, you don't know me, but I want to connect with you, I can tell you most assuredly, Jerome is everything he just said: relaxed, welcoming, genuine, just so interested in to see what your perspective is and what you're trying to achieve. So he doesn't do infomercials. He is the real deal. So I can just say that and get that point in, because it's all true.
Well, thanks so much. Appreciate that, Jules. Well, I think we're going to leave it at that for this very special episode, and encourage everyone to learn more about this really special workshop. All right. So, well, thanks so much for listening, everyone. Thanks, Jules, for being here as always. Really excited for this to happen and for
I
doing
am
this with
too.
you. And again, if any of our listeners want to learn more about this podcast in particular and where to find other episodes, you can go wherever you find podcasts. It's called Leadership Story Talks. We encourage you to subscribe and leave a review, because that's how word of mouth happens in this world. And of course, if you want to learn more about narrative and what we do with storytelling and how you can find, craft, and tell the stories that are going to engage your audiences like nothing else has before, please go to narrative.com, NARATIV.com, and you will find a wealth of free information there and resources that you can access anytime. And please come to us with your questions. We are always happy to listen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Always great.
See you next time.
Bye-bye now.
For more information on the narrative listening and storytelling method and how it can help your business, go to narrative.com.